I'm Phil Wood. I'm from the Intercultural Cities project, working with the Council of Europe, and I'm here today to give a keynote speech to really give the audience some thoughts about the way I think the world is going. The way I think it's going is that it's getting smaller, it's getting faster, and we're all mixing a lot more. It doesn't matter who we are, where we are, we're going to be part of a much more diverse society, and we either face up to that and thrive, or we try and avoid it and go into problems and decline. And I welcome this. I think it's exciting. I think it's great. There are great opportunities for cities that embrace this. But I think we have to open up. We have to think deeply about things like identity. Identity has been a tricky thing to talk about. It's an identity that has in the past been dividing communities, whereas identity can be something which really brings people together. And that's why the emphasis is not on nations, states, not on groups or tribes, but on cities. I believe we're moving into the century of the city.
Well, I'm going to talk about the necessity, as I see it, to shift the sort of axis of conflict here in Northern Ireland away from the division between the communities and towards the division between classes. I mean, I speak, if you like, as an old-fashioned socialist, and I'd be trying to draw attention to the long tradition, which is almost forgotten in terms of community relations here, of people uniting across the sectarian barrier, which happens all the time, actually. Certainly it happened in relation to, for example, the campaign against austerity here. Now, people think that's not relevant to the relations between Catholics and Protestants. I say it is relevant. Not only do I say it's relevant, I say it's the key to overcoming the sectarian division, because that type of the struggle for workers' rights, against job losses, for the defence of the National Health Service and so forth, those things are directly relevant, it seems to me, because they mobilise people on a basis which has got nothing to do with the community they came from.
I'm Alex Kane. I'm a broadcaster, commentator, columnist, and I'm here today at the CRC conference to discuss the issue of flags and symbols and why they are important and whether they're going to remain important. I suppose the main thrust of my argument is going to be, I think we're stuck with them for a very long time. I think that the general mood of people is they're not yet ready to move on. They're not yet they may talk about a shared future, they're not yet ready to do it. And I will be advising, I think along with a number of others, that don't push this issue, don't tell people what they must do. If they want to come to it, they will come to it in their own time.
I'm Finola Meredith, writer and broadcaster, and today I'm going to be talking about language, politics and identity and how they all intersect, and particularly this question of who owns language or who could be said to own language. And I'll be talking in particular about an Irish language revival in Protestant East Belfast, which I think is fascinating because it picks up an idea of separating out politics and language and looking at them separately, rather, as we often do in Northern Ireland, as completely entangled.
I think it's an absolutely great event to come to the city to talk about interculturalism and identity. One of the difficulties that I would have is that we seem to miss the whole area of sectarianism whenever we're doing this, because as a society we feel it easier to talk about those issues around culture and racism. But then when it comes down to talking about the hard issues, we seem to be missing a wee bit of that. And I feel that this is what we need to be talking about, because people in our city have been trying to break our backs, trying to sort of break through and get a breakthrough within this whole field of community relations work. And while all that is happening in the city, all around us, other areas are having difficulty with the whole community relations issues.
Today's fantastic, a brilliant conference by the Community Relations Council, and what an inspirational speaker Phil Woods has been. It's just so amazing to hear his context and his thinking from a European perspective. My message to everybody listening today is come to our city, Derry, Londonderry, and see interculturalism for yourself, because we've got some amazing projects that are happening because of the City Culture Year, and even more importantly, they will be continuing beyond 2013.
It's great to be up here today because I've been coming now for the last 10 or 12 years to the Community Relations Council conference, and I always find them very important and very insightful. And I think particularly the idea today looking at identity is a very important one. I think it's one of the big issues that we need to look at as we address moving ahead. Lots and lots of young people will be saying to me, you know, I'm not just a Protestant or just a Catholic, I have multiple identities. And I think if we come out of this having an idea of what identity might be in the 21st century for this place coming out of conflict would be great.
My name is Jim Roddy. I'm manager of the City Centre Initiative, which is the town centre management company for Derry. And here this morning I've been asked to say a few words and listen to Philip giving a very uplifting delivery about urban therapy. And really for me this morning the two buzzwords has been so far interculturalism and diversity. And that's how we see our city centre evolving, not just across the sectarian or religious divide, but across all divides, in business and community, in the daytime economy and the evening time economy, and just basically getting people working together.
My name is Brian Docherty. I'm director of St Colum's Park House in the Waterside. We're involved in a range of peace building organisations, working with young people, marginalised young people, unemployed, ex-prisoners and general communities who are involved in particular social issues at the moment. I suppose where our kind of niche is in terms of good relations in the city is that we deal quite extensively with the Protestant Unionist Loyalist community. We're doing a range of initiatives at the moment working with the Londonderry Bands Forum. We've established a unionist engagement forum on the back of the flags protests, and we're also working extensively on flags research in the northwest.
Although the migration is happening, social and government policies are not keeping pace with integration and how we make people welcome. The old models of multiculturalism and assimilation we know are not working. And so we took the opportunity as panellists to talk about some local work that we're doing in response to that. And I was talking about the Arts Council's intercultural strategy, which is particularly focused on the arts and how we can maximise the benefits for minority ethnic artists coming into Northern Ireland.
I think it's a particularly opportune time because we've just last week had the announcement from OF to MDFM around the future in terms of the sharing and integration. And as well, this weekend we've just had the talks that the police have organised in Wales with some of the chief protagonists in terms of the marching season and the parades. So I'm looking forward to some dynamic presentations, and I'm also looking forward to listening to people's opinions on the developments that have happened over the last few weeks in terms of moving now into the marching season in June, July.